Yes. Thank you, regroup. Thank you very much for being so friendly. I do visit some schools. By the time I start talking, they say, we are tired, but you've been very, very good. I'm so happy to talk. Yes.
Like, why isn't it safe for your other family members to come?
It is not safe where they are, but getting them to Australia is a very big tax at the moment. How many people heard about the Ebola outbreak in 2014? Did you? Yes, in West Africa. I actually lost 8 members of my family to the outbreak. 8 people died, and we lost over 2,000 people from Sierra Leone alone. So the Australian immigration actually suspended filing for people to come to Australia because of that outbreak. But since 2015, the outbreak ended. We are hoping that in the very soon future, we can have the opportunity to bring our relatives here. Yes.
Did you have any family members over here in Australia before you came?
Yes, that's a very good question. My sister, I have a sister living with disabilities she has impairment in hearing and speaking, but she tried her very best to file for me and my own family to come. So I have a sister here. Yes.
Did they provide you with food and water on the plane?
They did. When I was coming on the plane with my family, I was like an expatriate. You know, they were looking after us, guiding us. We had an immigration officer who was going with us. We left from Guinea. We came through France, which is Paris. From Paris, we came through Hong Kong, which is in China. And from China, we landed in Sydney, big airport. I was so happy. I thought that was my destination. But when you are coming to Australia, you have no choice. They can carry you wherever they think is safe for you. That is already a definition of a refugee. A migrant will say, no, I don't want to go to Tasmania. Please put me down here. This is where I want to stay, right? But refugees, they have no choice. They will take them where they think is good for them. And that was how I ended up in Tasmania. Yes?
Going from Africa to Paris and then to China,
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be faster to go from Africa straight to China?
There is a very difficult route from Africa straight to China. Especially coming to Australia is a very far, thousands upon thousands of kilometers. So if you are living from Africa to China directly, it's difficult. They have some international transit routes in the air. You have to go through those transit routes to reach here. That's why it took us 3 days before we reach here. Yes.
Where do you live now?
I am presently a Victorian. I lived first in Tasmania. I'm now living in Hallam or Hampton Park in Dandenong. How many people know Dandenong? Ooh, everybody! So, can we start asking more of immigration questions? Because I really want us to have some knowledge about that. Yes?
When you were going to Australia, why didn't your family come with you?
Because there was no opportunity for them to come with me. If I had the opportunity, I was going to bring everybody in my family. I had a family of 40 people. If everyone could come to Australia, like we have 24 million and 40 people, right? And that could have grown because I have 3 children that were born in Australia. I came with 2, I have 3 born here. So I am adding to the population of this country. Yes.
What year did you leave and come to Australia?
I was living in another country called Guinea. Guinea is a neighboring country to Sierra Leone. So when the war came into Sierra Leone, we fled into exile into Guinea. We spent 14 years moving from one refugee camp to another. I changed 5 refugee camps. Yes?
Did you have a choice of countries that are
I never had the choice, and that was the only route they could use to bring us here. And if I was to even had a choice, that was the first time I ever sat in a plane. So I was overjoyed to come to Australia. Yes?
Was your country put under dictatorship?
Before the civil war came into Sierra Leone, the first president we had was called Siaka Stephen. He ruled the country for 27 years. He was more or less like a dictator per se. And because of that, many people said the country is not progressing. Things are not happening good. So what they did was, they decided to come up with ideas to wage a civil war. And because of this civil war, we all fled. After 12 years of fighting, we came back. They had another democratic election. Another party won. They stayed in power for a while. They had another election. The first party that was in power before the war came won again. And today, as I speak to you, there is huge progress happening in Sierra Leone. Development is happening. The government is very democratic. They are trying to make change for good progress. They have a plan called Agenda for Prosperity. So the government is implementing this agenda to support the people of Sierra Leone. Just 6 million. How many people have heard of Blood Diamond? A movie called Blood Diamond. Well, the reality of what happened in Sierra Leone is worse than what you saw in Blood Diamond. I'm not going to show you those videos because of our age limit. But if you see the reality of the war, it's not fiction, it's the reality. It's very, very bad. And I don't want us to cry because I have shown that to a group of students. I had to forget about speaking. I became a counselor, and I don't want to become a counselor here this morning, okay? But if you want to watch it out of your own free time, and I will not even recommend for you to watch it because of the age limit, please don't click on the videos on my website. They are very, very graphic, okay? It is war, it's no movie, it's reality, okay? Don't. Yes?
How did you get the opportunity to come to Australia?
When you are in a refugee camp, the United Nations, we call on countries like Australia, America, Great Britain, Canada, all of the countries that have agreed to accept refugees. They will send teams of immigration officers, and then these immigration teams, they will decide, okay, we want to take this part of the refugees to our countries. That is process number 1. Second we come, they will ask you to write your story. Why you don't want to go back to the country you were born in. Why you don't want to stay in the refugee camp. You will write your story, you will put the people that you want to travel with. That is process number 2. The third step is, they will come for interview. They will look at your application just the way you can go to seek for job. They will look at your story, and they ask you questions to know whether you are telling the truth or lying. If they notice that you are lying, they will not bring you to Australia. But if they notice that your story is genuine and you are saying the truth, they will go to process number 4. That is medical checkup. They will send you to doctors. They will do thorough medical screening on you. to make sure that you don't have any sickness that will infect the Australian community, to make sure that you do not have any disease that will be transferable as soon as you reach here, and to also make sure that you will not become a burden for this country. If they find out that you are sick, they will not bring you. That will be the end of your story. But if you pass the medical test, process number 5, they will send you a visa. They will tell you, congratulations, you have been successful to get a visa for Australia. And all of what I have just said is not going to happen as you close your eyes, you open it. No. Sometimes the process will take over 1 year or 2 years. It depends on how good your story is. It will take a long process for you to be able to come to Australia. If your visa has been approved, they will give you the dates. For me, for example, I was told you'll be traveling to Australia on the 7th of July 2005. I said, good, 2005 to Australia. I started telling my friends how I am going to leave them in suffering, how they will be calling me on the phone. I will not pick their calls because I'm a big boy. And after 2 weeks, they sent me another email. They said, well, you are not yet going to travel because one of your daughters, your eldest daughter, has a disease, a bleeding coming out into her heart. So you have to treat her first before you can be able to go to Australia. And they gave me an option, either to leave my daughter in Africa and come with my other daughter and my wife, or I don't come to Australia. If it is you, which will you take? Will you leave? Which option will you take?
I would stay in the country.
Uh-huh.
I would stay. I would stay.
Yes?
I would leave.
Yes?
I would stay.
Let's clap for ourselves. That is exactly what I did. Because coming to Australia is good, but I never knew what was ahead of me. If I choose to leave my daughter because I want to come to Australia, probably she would have been dead by now, right? Because she was sick. So what happened was, my sister who was already in Australia, she signed a document saying that as soon as we reached into Australia, she was going to send my daughter to the hospital and she will pay all the medical bills. And that was good. Soon we arrived. They changed my travel date from July to November of 2006. Just imagine, from July of 2005 to November of 2006, that is almost 1 year. You know what my friends were saying? They say, oh, good, now you are not even traveling, so you can't even boast of traveling to Australia. I was sad. I go to bed, when I woke up, I asked my wife, are we in Australia now? It was not a dream, it was reality. Until on the 7th of November 2006, I finally woke up and I found myself at the airport waiting to come to Australia. On the 10th of November 2006, we arrived in Sydney. The dream was so big, and I was so lucky to be here. And thank you for welcoming us. Yes. That's good? Yes.
Any of your families?
My grandmother and grandfather were killed in the Civil War. And I lost also one of my uncles And one of my nephews decided to join the war and was killed. I also was captured. I have a mark here. They asked I should join. If I was to join, I was not going to be here today standing to talk to you. They tied me up because I refused to join them. They tied me up. I have a mark here. I could show you that one. Because I think this sleeve can go up. You see this one? I was tied because I refused to join them. And the worst of all, if they capture you, they will ask you, do you need a long sleeve or a short sleeve? Do you know what that means? They will chop off your hand. Because why? You don't want to support them. When I was going through the photos, you saw little kids with their hands chopped off, right? Did you see that? Do you want to see it?
Yes. Yes.
Is it okay for them to see it?
Yes.
Ask your teachers. Ask the teachers.
No.
No, yeah. Yeah.
There might be some people that aren't saying anything that would rather not.
Yeah.
It's not good for you
Yeah.
to see. They are very graphic.
And I'm sure you can all imagine how terrible that would be.
It is terrible. Little kids have done nothing wrong. Yesterday they chop off their hands. Wickedness, you know? So I don't want us to experience that type of life. Yes?
Now you said when you came home from school and your parents weren't there, when and where did you meet up with them?
At the border crossing into Guinea. 3 days before I could get there. It was hard.
You know how you said that you had to run through all these tests to make sure you could come to Australia. How long did it take for you to be able to come?
The first medical test we did, it took 4 months. We could not get back with the result. And it expires after 6 months. So because the result was not out, when the 6 months pass, we have to redo another medical test. And when that happens often, your chances of getting into Australia are very limited because you don't know what the decision will be like. But fortunately for me, the decision was good. They allowed us to come. Yes?
Why didn't they chop your arm off in your hand?
Because I was fortunate to run away. When they tied me up, they kept me somewhere, and by the time they could come back to me, another fighting broke out, and I was able to escape. Or else you were not going to even know whether there is someone called Isaiah. Okay? Yes?
How did your sister come to Australia? Like, was it before the war?
My sister came also because of war, but she had multiple medical issues and also she had a disability. So she actually came on a medical visa into Australia. And she came into Australia in 2003. When she came, after a year, she got treatment and then she tried to establish communication between her and me. That was how I was able to start the process in 2004, from 2003, 4, 5 to come to Australia. Can I also ask questions now?
Yes.
You have asked me too many questions. Can I also ask you some questions?
Yes.
We have got 6 minutes left on the clock, right? That's why I also want to ask questions because it will not be good if I go from here today and I say they asked me many questions, but I never had the opportunity to ask back. Would that be okay?
No.
Okay. Now, out of everything we have talked on today, How many people would be happy to welcome refugees and asylum seekers? Wow! Everybody, including me. How many people would be happy to go home and talk to mom and dad and say, Mom, we really need to talk about why our country is not welcoming asylum seekers? How many people will do that? Wow. But you know the secret? When you are saying it, you don't argue with mom and dad. Maybe you wait until the dinner table is ready, and then you say, Mom, Dad, I really want to know something. Why is it that we are not allowing asylum seekers in our country? And then maybe they will tell you the same thing I'm saying, or maybe they will tell you, oh, these people, they are bad people. And then you will say, no, Mom, we had one asylum seeker, refugee today in our school. He showed us what he went through. And he is today helping to change lives. Okay? So to end my speech, I want to show you a school that I am passionately running in Africa. So if you have time, maybe you can click here. You will see other stories of other schools I have visited, what they think about my speech,